The James Webb Space Telescope can theoretically detect technosignatures, which are artificial atmospheric pollutants, infrared signatures from megastructures, even city lights on the dark side of nearby exoplanets. It is the most capable instrument humanity has ever built for searching for signs of technology beyond Earth. So here's the question. If the JWST can detect something so significant, who gets briefed first? We know from John Greenwald Jr.'s latest FOIA battle with NASA that briefing records about the JWST do exist, but NASA initially claimed that they didn't. What is going on here? I'm Christina Gomez, and welcome to this episode of Mysteries with a History. Let me bring in my co host, Jimmy Church of Fade to Black Radio. Jimmy, happy Thursday.
Happy
How you doing?
Thursday. Here we go. Yeah, great subject. Great subject. Great. Yeah, the James Webb Space Telescope. Now, was it the Black Vault and these revelations that we kind of know this stuff is going on? But is this what got your attention?
It was.
That's it?
That's it.
That's it?
And I think we got to cover it because there have been so many rumors, Jimmy, of people getting briefings like Congressman Andre Carson, where Matt Lasso from Ask a Poll said, "Have you been briefed on the JWST?" And the only thing that he mentioned back in September of 2024 was no comments. And that says so much for a congressman because often they like to talk significantly, actually. So for him to say no comment really sets a foundation of, okay, what's really going on here? And the thing is that, as I had mentioned at the very beginning, the JWST is a significant piece of work. It can potentially detect technosignatures, which is something that we're all so interested in. Are there aliens? How are they living? What are they doing? Do they have city lights like in the like here on planet Earth? And I think that might be one reason to why it might have been created.
Well, I agree with that. Now, I'm going to make a few brief comments. In speaking with Avi Loeb about the James Webb Space Telescope and technosignatures and the ability to see something inside of an or inside of an Earth-like planet's atmosphere, a technosignature to me, I mean, city lights. If you look at Earth, and I'm going to make all of this brief because we have a lot to cover, but if you look at Earth, if there is somebody observing our planet from inside of the galaxy or outside, throughout the universe, what would they see? And Avi says, they would see city lights. And if the planet is rotating, right, and it's got that going on, then you would see those city lights come and go. All right. Okay, makes sense because the planet is rotating. And if we took a satellite to the outside of our star system and pointed it back at Earth, we would definitely see that. Can the James Webb see that from distant space? And Avi says yes. Those kinds of technosignatures would be observable by the James Webb Space Telescope. Okay, so putting that to the side for a second, what has the James Webb seen? What has it discovered out there? And has it seen something like city lights on a distant exoplanet? I would say yes. But here is the situation that we are in. In my conversations with different researchers, these are direct conversations, by the way, of people that are involved with the James Webb Space Telescope, have said to me repeatedly that if we made a discovery like that, we would report on it. Okay, that it is an international, Christina, it is an international platform. There are countries around the world, about a dozen, that are involved in that research, and keeping something like that confidential and undisclosed is nearly impossible. That they want this information to get out if they do discover it. Now, that makes me back up and think to myself, is the United States in a position to block or censor such a discovery if it is made? And although I like the intentions of these statements from people that I am in contact with the James Webb Space Telescope, I think these are generally good and great people that are out there looking for this stuff. Absolutely. But are they in control of the information? They say yes. I say not so fast. This kind of discovery, what in the United States perspective, would need to be controlled. This kind of news is huge, the biggest news probably in the history of this planet and all of mankind, and they would control the distribution of that. And I think that that is the position that I take, that the government, the United States, is certainly in a position to get in front of said discovery. And when we look at what has just been revealed by John and the Black Vault, this is exactly how I think it would be handled. These discoveries are presented and then suddenly hidden or didn't happen at all. That doesn't make a lot of sense, does it? No, it makes perfect sense. This is how the machine runs, Christina. There have been a lot of exciting discoveries. I've got a bunch here that I would like to go over in just a bit. But are there briefings? Yes. Are they secret? Yes. Are they compartmentalized? Absolutely. Is the United States government, which is the main funder of the JWST, in control of the distribution of these discoveries? I say yes. The researchers say no. I think that John and the Freedom of Information Act explains all of this quite clearly.
It does. And the proof is in the pudding because on September 22nd, 2024, Greenwald files a very straightforward FOIA request to NASA. And it's practically said, show me the records of congressional briefings about the JWST. Then on October 9th, 2024, NASA responds with, oh, no records exist. But then, so that's already kind of going with what you are mentioning, that if we receive any information, it has to go through one door to another. Because then on August 29th, 2025, really just last month, we finally got some paperwork. We got some documents that were released by NASA. And the crazy part is nearly every word is blacked out.
Yep.
If there's nothing to hide, Jimmy, why bother blacking out things such as questions that were posed, other ideas that need to be discussed, theories, and I can show an image here in just a moment. But what's the point of blacking it out? If the public should know about what the JWST is investigating, what it's looking at. We have received some incredible, beautiful, just spectacular images from the James Webb Space Telescope, but with very little data. We know the composition of the gases. That's how these images are created, because in reality, the pictures that we receive look like this. They're taken in infrared. And so then artists have to go in, change the images based off of the gas composition to create incredible images like this. So why is this document that was released by NASA August 29th almost completely blacked out? I mean, is there any rational explanation that you can think of, Jimmy?
No, no. And this is what makes me angry. All right. I will fight for this community. I will fight for this planet. And it's very clear to me. All right. This is what makes me angry is nature. And that's the universe. Nature is ours. It's ours. There is no reason to keep nature a secret from us, period. Now, if you want to take things one step further, where I tend to understand keeping things secret is if we recover a spacecraft and we backwards engineer it, and it has technology that we don't want our adversaries to have. If you want to keep that secret, I get it. All right, you want to keep us safe. I dig. I dig it, and I can kind of agree to that. I don't totally agree. If it's an energy source, Christina, that can potentially heat our children's schools and harvest our fields and take care of our planet and feed the starving, all of it. If there is something like that that is being kept from us, yeah, that makes me angry. Is it something that could be weaponized by an adversary, and you can prove that? Well, keep that secret. I get it. But nature itself, nature, is there life out there in the universe? Is there life on an exoplanet? Have you found a techno signature? That is ours. That is something that we fundamentally should know. It's nature. It isn't any different than the bees and the butterflies and the polar bears on this planet. That's our right to know. Why would you keep polar bears secret from us? You wouldn't. And it's the same thing with the universe. I in a very fundamental, basic way, am angry about this. We should not be kept from nature. What is out there? Is there life out there in the universe? That is our right to know, period. And there isn't a gray area here.
There isn't, but then it goes to the very common quote that we hear time and time again, which is knowledge is power. If we have a better understanding of our universe, how will it affect our understanding of our place in the universe? There was some paperwork, I want to say it was back in 2023, I believe, where scientists were using the JWST to see how old the universe actually was. And they said it was twice as old. That information was very quickly debunked right after scientists said the universe is actually twice as old than we originally thought. But that information was very quickly brushed away with little evidence to back up why it was dismissed. And that would lead us to the question of, okay, if we think that the universe is twice as old than we originally thought, how old is planet Earth? And while we have some ideas, we think we know how old it is. What if we're wrong? And it seems that a lot of scientists have this chip on their shoulder of, I'm right, you're wrong, do not question me. Because I already wrote a paper, I already got so much funding from these different agencies that you cannot question me on this information because it'll make me look stupid, right? Which is very disappointing that ego comes first over actual research and investigations, which really alludes to something that I covered earlier today, Jimmy, about how so many scientists and doctors and those in the medical field don't want to research UFO injuries of any kind because of the stigma. We can apply that same mentality of ridicule to those that are researching the universe, researching archaeology, so on and so forth. Overall, just like yourself, I feel the frustration. I feel very disappointed in the way that we're taking this and the ways that conversations are being held about this and how so much is being hidden on the topic. For what purpose? For power? That's it? That is so boring, Jimmy.
Well, it may be, but that is probably the case. And if we back up just a little bit and observe what is going on and what are the possibilities of this, all right? If if it is revealed that there is life out there and that is confirmed, they lose power. How do they lose power? How do they lose the grip that they have on Earth? It's very simple. That knowledge would unite the planet. It answers the most basic question that we have had as humans since the dawn of time, which is, you look to the stars, are we alone? Right? And as long as you can keep that from us, then the fear stays there, that question stays there, and you can control the planet. If it is revealed that there is life out there, the planet becomes one. We are no longer divided by countries' borders, by religions, by anything else. No, we just become earthlings. We become one, and we become united. And those power brokers out there that want to continue to control us would lose that control, would lose that power that you refer to, Christina. That's why, in my opinion, this very, very, very basic question, the first question that we've always had, that answer is going to be kept from us because they lose control. They don't want us to become earthlings and united. It's really that simple.
How disappointing. How disgusting, actually, just to conceptualize something like that. Because we are always bickering and fighting amongst ourselves that
That's
we
right.
we
That's right.
lose what's really going on. And
That's
when we're
right.
looking at what the JWST has found, what they have disclosed and not disclosed, also demonstrates that there is so much more going on out there. I mean, these images that I'm showing have all been taken by the JWST. They're all just impeccable images. And yet, again, we're left in the dark as to what they're finding. Are we going to receive another congressional briefing? We received one a few years ago, but it was kind of a nothing burger, like most congressional hearings. We didn't really get any good information. We had during the Biden administration, Biden and Harris also referred to the JWST and about how great it is without giving any actual information, which, by the way, that little speech that they gave was running like 20, 30 minutes late, which is disappointing, but something that we see consistently with a lot of these hearings that we receive pertaining to UFOs and space exploration. Do you think, Jimmy, that we will receive any real good, nutritious, substantial information from the JWST in the years to come? Maybe even about technosignatures or even about aliens?
Yeah, it's something that we are going to eventually arrive at. There are different stages of discoveries that we can anticipate, not only within our own star system, like Mars or a moon of Jupiter or Saturn and Europa. Those are considerations too, as well. But what that will show is that the possibility of life can happen off of planet Earth, that it's just not us. But when you extend it out past that, we really have to look at where we are right now as humans. It's absolutely incredible that you and I can sit here and have this discussion about life out there. How many species on this planet have a conversation like this? The answer is none. It's just us humans. And we have the ability to do this now. There's a documentary about the building of the James Webb Space Telescope, its launch, and its positioning out in our star system. Watch that documentary. What is incredible about that is that we, as humans, built it, launched it, and it worked. 1 million miles from planet Earth. It parked, it unfurled, it opened up its lenses and its telescopes, it tested everything worked. How did we get to this position as humans to put a piece of technology like that 1 million miles from planet Earth and it worked? And we are out there looking. Now we have around 10,000 confirmed exoplanets. That number varies. And the reason why it varies is we have different satellite systems that are in place, different sensor systems that are in place that are scanning millions of stars all at the same time. We used to, in 1995, when we discovered the first exoplanet, we had to look and find it and then analyze it. And it just took months and months and months, if not years, to confirm these. Now we have software, we have scanning, and we look at chunks of the sky, and this is happening all at the same time. We have so many exoplanets right now, Christina, right now. And it's a lot because we have 1 trillion stars in our galaxy. Every single one of those stars has at least one exoplanet. That's a lot of work. So we know that the best thing, the best job that you can have today is be an astronomer, be on this project, because what are you going to do today in your gig? You're going to find an exoplanet. You can do that every day. You wake up, you have your breakfast, you go to work, you find an exoplanet. All of these have to be confirmed and cataloged. That's why the number right now is around 10,000. It could be 100,000. It could be 1,000,000 if we had the manpower behind it to get all of this work done. And that's one of the things about the James Webb and why previous administrations put so much hope on it. The system works and it's out there and it's scanning and it's working with these other sensor systems that we have in place, like TESS. You know, these are ginormous swaths of the sky that we are looking at the same time. Yeah. So when you look at this image here that you just put up, every single dot, every single speck of light, every single thing that you are looking at has an exoplanet. And it continues beyond this to the edge of the observable universe. Right. And that's the other thing. ET is doing the exact same thing. They are looking back at us. Now, let me go through a list of stuff. Recent observations of exoplanet K2-18b, which you and I have covered here. I've covered it on Fade to Black. Detected dimethyl sulfide, DMS, and dimethyl disulfide, DMDS, gases that here on Earth produce life in our oceans. Here on Earth, both of those gases are only created from life. We don't have an artificial, another alternative to the creation of these gases. Well, they were found on K2-18b. And what the initial reports stated that it is probably an ocean-covered world capable of supporting life. This is what the James Webb Space Telescope brings to us. What have we found since then? There are so many, tens of thousands of planets that the James Webb Space Telescope can look at and detect this and look inside of its atmosphere. And for humans, right, to get to the point where we can look at a planet 100, 200, 300, 400 light years from planet Earth and peer inside of its atmosphere, that is absolutely amazing that we have gotten to that point here on Earth. Then there's LHF 1140b. It is confirmed to have a nitrogen-rich atmosphere which resembles Earth's and could support liquid oceans. It orbits in the habitable zone where liquid water could exist. Now, really quick, Christina, let me explain for those that may not know what I'm talking about when I say habitable zone, the Goldilocks zone. There is you have a star that is generating heat and energy. You have an exoplanet that is sitting outside of that star. Wherever that is, depending on the heat that is generated from that host star and what type of star it is, where the planet is positioned, it's either too cold or too hot. Hence the Goldilocks name, right? Okay, so you want to be in that zone where water is not frozen and where water is not evaporated. You want to be in the habitable zone. All right. And we are able to detect this now. We can study the sun, the star, the host star, what type of star it is, what kind of heat is created, where these exoplanets are orbiting these stars, and are they in that certain habitable zone. We are able to do this. Does that blow your mind? I
Oh,
cannot,
yeah.
yeah, I cannot wrap my head around that. Every single day I think about it, that we are able to do this now. It's amazing, isn't it?
It really is. And something else worth mentioning that people tend to forget, well, two things. One, it the price tag on the JWST was about $10 billion. Originally, it was going to be only a billion, but then they kept delaying after delay after delay that it turned into $10 billion. But the biggest takeaway that I think gets a lot of people very suspicious about the JWST is that after its launch, it took 6 months when it was in space before it really began to be in operation. Now, the explanation by NASA was that it had to be aligned properly, it had to
Mhm.
open properly, which the documentary that Jimmy had mentioned goes into detail on that. And like him, I highly recommend you watch it. It is a fantastic doc that goes into great detail on how it was created, all of the problems that they came across, brushing every little mirror with a paintbrush, which is crazy. But it shocked a lot of people, myself included, that it took 6 months before we began to receive images publicly. Now, there are some ideas, there are some rumors that during that 6 month period, they were doing a secret mission, taking pictures of images where NASA believes that there was intelligent life on certain planets.
They
But
did, by the way, that
we don't have
happened.
proof of that. But
Oh, I do. I
oh,
do. Yeah, I
oh,
do. I talked to a half a dozen research scientists involved with James Webb. And here is the thing. This is what I was told, that there was a certain amount of infighting going on about not only which planets to look at, right? And there was a list that they were going to look at first, but that they found stuff. And now they were fighting over satellite time to focus on the stuff that they were finding. And it wasn't just one planet, but how this was going to get released. Now, this was about a year ago. All right, about a year ago. And I thought at that time, and so did a few of these researchers, that this information was going to go ahead and get released within a week. And then it was about 2 weeks. It never happened, Christina. I never got official confirmation about which planets were being looked at. But I was told, and I've talked about this, that it was indeed in the TRAPPIST-1 star system, which has seven, count them, seven Earth-like planets. How many planets do we have in our star system? How many do we have? Well, we have 8, maybe 9, possibly 10, right? And that may or may not include Pluto. And we thought that that was unique. We now know that at least one planet is attached to and created by every star in the known universe. That's a lot of planets. How many star systems have more than one planet like ours? It's a big place out there. And the answer is a lot. It's a number that is so big that you can't comprehend how many digits and zeros follow that. It's a big, big, big number. But we have TRAPPIST-1, and TRAPPIST-1 has 7 Earth-like planets in orbit around that star, potentially habitable planets. Now, check this out. I'm just going to go through this. And this is what they were fighting about. Potentially habitable planet TRAPPIST-1b may have a carbon dioxide rich atmosphere. That's what they discovered. What was disclosed? What was confirmed? We don't know. The research stopped there. It didn't stop there, but that's what we were told. Planets E, F, G, and H may have better chances of atmospheres because they are further away from the energetic eruptions that are happening with TRAPPIST-1. What's happening with that research? Was it disclosed to Congress? Was it disclosed to the Senate? We don't know. I know that the research is ongoing. But then you have the exoplanet TRAPPIST-1d, which is similar in size to Earth. It's rocky. It resides in the area around its star where liquid water on its surface is possible. But according to a new study, and this is how they poo-poo it, a new study using data from NASA's James Webb says, not so fast. It does not have a rocky Earth-like atmosphere. Right. And this is what we're dealing with, right? Is this the United States running interference on the information? Something that these researchers were trying to get out there to the public. They were infighting amongst themselves about what to do and how to do it, and which planets they needed to focus on with TRAPPIST-1. All of that was a year ago, and all of the discoveries, everything has been squashed. All of it.
And it's not surprising. It's really not surprising and by any means, because we've seen it time and time again. People will come in with the research, and then a bigger organization, a bigger agency will say, actually, you're wrong. But there's very little data to back it up. We've even seen it with Arrow. The way that they tried to explain the Agua Dia incident, for instance, saying parallax without really giving too much detail on how that really took place. It's not a new blueprint by any means. And before we continue, I want to say a big thank you to Moon at Noon for all the super chats and for being a member. For Steve, thank you so much. Android and Moon, a bunch of times again. Thank you guys for supporting the channel. And another great way to support this channel is to hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Jimmy, we have a few minutes left. Is there anything else that is crucial that we need to cover before we end today's show about the JWST?
Yeah, I've got two things I want to talk about. I want to talk about Kepler 1649c. Kepler 1649c. And again, that we are able to collect this data from our planet right now, from Trailer Park Earth, right? That's mind-blowing to me. Kepler 1649c is an Earth-sized exoplanet. It's rocky. It's orbiting within the habitable zone of its red dwarf star, Kepler 1649. It's located about 301 light years away from Earth, relatively close when you think about it, but it's in the constellation Cygnus. And if we go back and we look at different books and different authors and theories about Cygnus, and I'm specifically talking about the Cygnus mystery, it's a great book. These are associated with Giza. That's
dun,
right.
Dun.
The Great Pyramid. And so here we have a confirmed exoplanet in the habitable zone. Another thing that I do want to point out is life. Water is life. And the way that, like asteroid Bennu, the way that amino acids and proteins are floating around on asteroids all across the universe, and panspermia and the possibility of these asteroids impacting a planet that has water on it, that's all you got to do. There's your soup, there's your stew. You just put that on the back of the stove and you let that simmer for a while, and something is going to kick off. And Kepler 1649c is one of the best examples of this. Again, this is just something that we focused on. All you have to do is point your sensors in another direction, and there's something else just as fascinating there to make a discovery with. It's all over the universe. And then we have Kepler 69c. It's a confirmed super Earth exoplanet. It's also rocky. It's orbiting the sun-like star. It's very similar to ours, Kepler 69. And it has 2 planets orbiting that star. And all of this was discovered originally by NASA's Kepler spacecraft. And it's located about 2,430 light years from Earth. I want to point out one thing before we get out of here. I have discussed this many times with you and others over the years. Our sun is going to last theoretically about 10 billion years. That's it. We are 5 billion years into that. So we've got 5 billion years left theoretically with our sun, but that's not 5 billion fun years. All right. On the front half of that, and we are halfway through, on the front half of that 5 billion years, radical changes are going to happen inside of the sun. And without getting into all of this, it has a hydrogen core right now. It's very stable. Entropy hasn't kicked in. It's been very stable for 5 billion years, which has allowed us to evolve and you and I to have this discussion today. All right. But soon, okay, soon, our sun is going to freak out. All right. It just is going to happen. And when helium starts to take over the core, our sun is going to grow in size to the point where from Earth, all we will see is sun in the sky. All right. But we're not going to be here, Christina. We're going to leave. We
Unless we're
have to,
vampires.
we have to, yeah, we have to leave. We can't stay. When the sun reaches that point, which is soon, it'll be inside of 1 billion years. It could be 500 million years. Sounds like a long time. It's not. All right. Now, as these changes occur and start to occur in our sun, the temperature on Earth is going to get to 1,000 degrees very quickly. Our water evaporates and the atmosphere is going to be blown away. So before that happens, and that's what I'm talking about, in the very near future, we have to do two things. We have to find some place to go, hence the search for exoplanets with the JWST, right? There's that. And the second thing is we have to build something to fly on. And that's what will give away the power on this planet. If we unite, what would unite us? Well, we've got to build a starship, we've got to climb on it, and we have to head out and go find another place to live. That would unite the planet. That would get rid of any arguments and infighting and everything else that we have. We become earthlings. And that is the next stage of this planet. We have to leave eventually. We can't stay forever. And I know that you and myself, we grew up thinking that Earth is going to last forever. We're going to be here. We need to take care of this planet and future generations and all of that. Yeah, that's all in play. But we have to keep it beautiful and clean for future generations to build those starships that we have to fly away on. And that's JWST's position. That's its job. It's got to find a place for us to go to. We need to build those ships and we need to leave. We can't stay here forever. It's a very important piece of technology that is helping the future of us.
What a fantastic way to end today's show. Jimmy, thank you so much for being on today. Who do you have on Fade to Black tonight?
I've got Jason McLean on tonight. You know what we're doing tonight, Christina?
Tell me.
We're doing Bigfoot and goat men in the state of Texas.
Nice.
That's right. Tonight on Fade to Black. It's going to be a great show. So I'll see everybody tonight on Fade to Black, Christina. I won't be here next week. No, I'm going to be filming, taping Beyond Belief. So I've got to jet out of town next weekend, but I'll see everybody back here with Christina in 2 weeks. All right. So behave. I'll see everybody tonight on the show. Thank you, Christina. Another great show.
Thank you so much. If you enjoyed the show, hit that like button right down below and subscribe if you haven't already, as I do daily UFO news updates at 10 a.m. PST. And as Jimmy had mentioned, we are a spacefaring species. We are not going to be on Earth for infinity. We will be traveling the stars. It's just a matter of when. We have been staring at the stars since the beginning of humanity. It has been written about for millennia. And so for if anything, I feel like we're a bit behind. I felt like in 2025, we would already be out in the stars, having flying cars, hoverboards, and who knows what else. But yet, we're still stuck into like the very primitive kind of technology in so many ways. While AI, on the other hand, is exploding exponentially. But aside from that, we should have been in space a long, long time ago. That is it for today. I want to say thank you to everyone catching this live, for all of these super chats, super stickers, all of my amazing YouTube members and Patreon members as well. Thank you, Tina. You're the best. Thank you, Moon. Again, really appreciate that. I will see you tomorrow. Be safe and remember, keep your eyes on the skies. If you enjoyed today's show, hit that like button. And if you're not subscribed, what are you waiting for? Hit the notification bell as I do daily UFO news and updates. Fresh UAP stories, government disclosures, and breaking developments land here every single day.